What's the word, Harrisburg? My name is Matt Maisel. All right, let's go back a couple weeks to City Council back on January 25th, a meeting, interviews to basically replace the outgoing or previously outgoing now State Representative Dave Madsen, who is a City Council person. And so City Council meets to select, interview potential candidates. And the man who came out on top is our guest on What's the Word Harrisburg right now, Robert Lawson. How's it going, man?
It's going great. Thanks a lot, Matt. I appreciate you having me on.
And congratulations. I mean, that's a thrill for you, especially someone who has run for council before, wasn't able to be elected in the primary, but here you are now, sitting up front, a member of Harrisburg City Council.
It's wonderful. You know, it's a lot of hard work coming together, and being able to be appointed by my peers means a lot to me. So that was a great experience to go through, and you know, I enjoyed the campaign, and the campaigns are right on us again. So I'm sure I'll be giving that another run here pretty soon.
How did this all come about for you? Was it always when 2021 came and went, and you weren't able to get past the primary? Was it just a situation where you always kind of, the next time that this comes around, I'm going to run again, or what was going through your mind at that point?
Yes, I was always going to run for the office again. It was the question was I going to run this time around or the next? But I've always had a heart for servant leadership, and I thought I could best be served in the city council realm. So that was always going to be something that I went after once again. And when I saw Mr. Madsen run and successfully run for his seat in the state house, I figured, well, maybe I can help.
There's going to be a vacancy.
I knew there would be a vacancy.
Okay, so you kind of knew as one door was closing, there was another one going to be open in a few months. You just kind of had to bide your time.
Yeah, I would say that. I was really excited to see him get elected to that post and that position. I think he's a deserving individual. And when I saw that his seat became open, I said, well, then there you go. That's my opportunity to serve.
So, I mean, were you thinking like essentially May of 2021, or excuse me, May of 2022 when he kind of won his primary, and let's be honest, with the way the districts were run, when he won his primary, it was almost a foregone conclusion that he would go on to win in November. Was it that point where you started to think, okay, this is going to happen a lot sooner than I thought?
That was the beginning of the seed. Yes,
okay.
That's when I thought, and I did have it in my mind at that point that maybe I would want to seek that appointment once it became available. I was really hoping that we would see two seats open up, because I was pulling for Miss Daniels to win her seat, but that didn't quite happen there. But you know, I think she's a strong candidate, and maybe she can give it another run.
So you mentioned just a second ago about kind of having an urge to serve, public service, and where did that come from for you?
Well, I believe it initially came just from the way that I was raised. My parents have always been parts of the community, and they've always served, and not necessarily looking for a title as they've done it. With my mother running a daycare, and my dad has always worked pretty heavily through our church as a deacon, and dealing with a lot of senior citizens and people that just need help. You know, someone may call him and say, hey, can you fix my toilet because it broke down? And he may have met this guy last week, but he may spend the entire night working in someone's house just to fix their toilet. So there was always this thought that, you know, we are all a community, and we all need to kind of give back and help one another. My desire to work this through city council more or less came from, well, I don't know how to fix a toilet. I can't do what he's done to serve people.
Harrisburg City Council, we can't fix your toilets, but we might be able to help your house.
Right, exactly. And that's what I thought. So I said, well, what can I do to be a servant leader in this community? And I can work with things through city council. Maybe I can be instrumental in budget negotiations. Maybe I can help with, we have a huge problem with blight in the city, just help curb some of that. I figured there's without being able to fix a toilet or swing a hammer, I can still do something to be of service.
I can't fix a toilet at all. I mean, I've got the handyman come in, and he's on speed dial at this point. Bishop McDevitt,
Yes.
graduate, early 90s, right?
Yes.
The Ricky Waters days.
Well, he was a little bit before me, but
Okay.
I was there to watch him. I was a
There you go.
freshman.
Well, okay, that counts.
I was a freshman while he was there, and he was a larger than life personality.
Well, born and raised in Harrisburg, how has the city kind of shaped you?
The city has shaped me by I've always been embraced through the people that live here. I've lived on the Hill, Holly Street, Foster Street. I've hung out in the South Side in Hall Manor, and a little bit uptown, and now I live uptown. But everywhere I've gone, I've felt love from the residents of the city. We embrace one another. We really do pull together, and that's why I'm here, and I haven't left, and I have no intentions of moving away.
We had one of our guests recently on the show, Paul Hood, who's a playwright here in Harrisburg. He has a show at Theater Harrisburg, and he kind of spoke about his time jumping from neighborhood to neighborhood in the city, and how each neighborhood has its own distinct qualities that helped form who he is as an adult, and how it shaped who he is now. Do you feel that same way of your experiences living in different neighborhoods in the city? Because they're all very distinct, and someone who lives in Uptown is different than someone who lives on the Hill, who lives in Shipoke, et cetera, et cetera. Do you feel that same way?
I do. First, I do want to shout out Pieces, because I'm really excited to see Paul's original work. That's something that we really got to get out and support our local artists. So I first want to point that out and shout that out. But also, yes, every neighborhood is very distinctive, almost to the point of every block is its own entity. We see a lot of pride in the city, and the pride in each neighborhood, from block to block, and the people take care of each other. Everywhere I've been in the city, I've seen us pull together and raise one another. Whether you have the block parents, the moms and dads who take care of all the kids who maybe don't have that parent at home, or maybe mom and dad are out working, but there's still someone on that block who takes care of all the kids, makes sure everyone's clean, eaten, and they're safe when they're out playing. I mean, we really do have a great city.
When you ran for council, I guess it would be 2 years ago now, and you mentioned this again when you did your interview in front of council a couple weeks ago. Your main initiatives kind of center on what your experience and expertise is, which we're talking about housing, because you have a history. Your background is in real estate. Your background is in insurance right now. How can Harrisburg, in your eyes, do better in terms of affordable housing initiatives and things like eliminating blight, which I know you said is one of your main goals?
Right. What I think that we need, and we hear this, I guess, catchphrase a lot, we need a lot of public-private partnerships, because our housing stock is really old. We have certain areas where the entire block is just
It's unrecognizable.
Right, unrecognizable. And the city is not going to be able to tackle it by themselves. Private investors are not going to be able to tackle it by themselves, and they probably wouldn't in a way that would be affordable if they were able to tackle it by themselves. Because if an investor went in to redevelop that entire block, he's going to have to make a profit. And for him to have to make a profit, that means he's going to make housing that's not affordable. That's just the nature of it. But if we do public-private partnerships, if we go strategically looking from block to block to say, hey, the city can renovate this number of properties. There are certain nonprofits that are out there looking to redevelop properties, and they're very whole person focused, where they're looking at making something affordable, plus making it, giving like wraparound services, taking care of getting that individual the education to become a good homeowner. If they're also working on that block, if you have also then those private investors working on that block, we may see then blocks transformed overnight. We're also going to see a diversity in people, a diversity in income, which is important as well. Remember those kids that I told you who their parents are either not there or not around enough for them to experience a lot of their parents, because a lot of people are working 2 and 3 jobs.
Yeah.
It's great if we had a great diversity of income. They look outside, they see, hey, there's John Smith, who's a lawyer. There's Joe Smith down the street, who's a plumber. And I have next door to me, Michael Smith, who's maybe unemployed, but he's trying really hard and he's going to get there. But you see a diversity of people, which, helps break some of these cycles of poverty that we see that just continue for years and years.
What in your mind, the whole issue of affordable housing has come up so much in the last few weeks, and besides the fact that it's one of the mayor's top initiatives and top goals, it's come up a lot because of the issue that's happening with the homeless encampments and wanting to provide more affordable housing options for people in the city who need it. And then the issue comes up, well, what is affordable housing? What is considered low-income housing? Can you put a number on it? So I kind of ask you, as the expert in this field, what is considered, in your mind, affordable?
All right. In my mind, it's not going to match what a government agency may tell you is affordable housing, because they look at the incomes in a region and they just kind of match it from that. Where we may have something that on paper reads as being affordable, so a developer could come and build property and say that I'm going to make sure that all the houses are affordable, but that affordable rent may be $1,200 a month. And if you make, I don't know, $30,000 a year, $1,200 a month is not very affordable for you.
I've heard, and not to cut you off, I'll let you finish, but along those same lines, I had someone who works with the Capital Area Coalition tell me the other day, like, listen, what you guys are doing is great, trying to make more affordable housing, et cetera, et cetera. When we're talking affordable housing, if you want something really actually affordable, you've got to go down to like $500 a month, if that. And that's it's so difficult to be able, what can you do building something where you're charging $500 a month rent in 2023?
Right. Well, that's again why you have to have this public-private partnership, because the private industry can't do it. Realistically, they can't do it unless, of course, they're building a project that's of scale that, they can almost write off the rents of that unit. They can't do it. So it has to be backed by government money, to where we're not necessarily looking for a profit. We're just looking to make sure that we get people off the street, we get people in housing, and we can, help them advance so that $1,200 to $1,500 a month does become affordable. But right now, it just won't be. So I look at affordable being basically 30% of whatever that person's income may be. So if the person is $500 turns out to be 30% of their income, then that's where it needs to be.
So let's stop using this as like a catch-all. It can't be a set number for everyone. It has to kind of be catered person by person, family by family.
It really does. It's something that we really have to look at it that way with each individual person, because we can get people, and I know people when I was working as a loan officer, I would approve people for mortgages, and their entire income was Social Security, and they were making maybe $1,000 a month, and that was it. That was their entire income. Luckily, at that time, housing prices were way down, and you could get something in the city. But to be honest, they were still paying out half of their paycheck to their mortgage. And then we have to figure out how are they going to eat? How are they going to keep the lights on? And God forbid if they have to actually drive to the grocery store, how are they going to pay a car payment? It's just
Right.
It's not sustainable. So we have to find ways that we can help our citizens and make it sustainable.
All right, so let's talk about Rob Lawson, the person. We were talking about your policies and kind of what you want to do on council. Excuse me, but I want to talk about get to know you. I want people who are watching this to get to know who you are. And if anyone watched the swearing-in ceremony, you're with your family. You could go to as little or as many details as possible, but tell us a little bit about your family and who you are and kind of who Rob Lawson is.
Sure. All right. So I guess we'll start with my family. My parents are Robert and Margie Lawson. They've been residents in my dad all of his life. My mom since she's probably the early '60s in the city here, and for the most part, the Lawson family runs fairly deep in the region. So
Yeah.
there's a good bit of us. My wife is Shannon Lawson. She is I guess she's a graphic designer by trade. And she's also an associate minister with the Journey Church. She's been doing that now for the grand total of maybe 2 months.
Sounds like faith is really kind of important and ingrained in your family, though.
Faith is very important to our family. Absolutely. I myself am an associate minister with St. Paul's Baptist Church, which has been in the city here for, nearly 150 years. So faith has been a backbone, and probably why I take many of the steps that I take, or the positions that I take. It's, to me, all about taking care of those who can't take care of themselves, and that's one of the tenets that was left to us by Jesus. He basically just said, if we take care of those, we're taking care of him, and that's really where my heart lies.
Got it. Kids?
Kids, I have, now I have to do the math and do the counting. So
I'll filibuster for you while you get it.
No problem. So I have my stepdaughter is she's about 30 years old, and now I'm on the spot. Maybe I do need you to filibuster for me,
right.
because I'll get the ages all wrong.
Well, I've got a 5-year-old and a 3-year-old daughter who she just had her birthday, and so I'm on different end of the spectrum. But I mean that I'm at that handful age right now. Like this morning, so I'll give you an example. My daughter, and I say this morning, but it's really kind of an evergreen morning, no matter when this airs. My daughter is the type of person who she's attached to my hip. She's daddy's girl, which is wonderful. Don't get me wrong. But in the mornings, if anyone tries to help her do anything, even opening up the yogurt for her breakfast, she lets out the most blood-curdling scream imaginable. and I mean, it's just... I have a headache right now because that has existed since about 7:15 this morning. But it's also the most amazing thing imaginable, which is cliche to say, but it is true. And they're just wonderful.
It is. That's when I tell people that are having kids. It's like having children is the most difficult, challenging, and I guess excruciatingly painful thing you can do, but it's also the best thing that you can do. It's just there's a mixture of love and fear and I guess, anxiety and
Oh my goodness, the anxiety.
and pride and everything that all gets mixed into one when you have these little people that are running around you.
I need a therapist just to talk about my kids. It is the amount of, because like I said, my kids right now are just at that age where they won't listen, which I'm sure is going to last for the next 20 years. But
Well, probably 30.
your kids now. I mean, just being a father, being a dad, it is. It's so hard to explain, but I feel like dads can kind of connect with each other. There's just a certain, if you know, sort of
Right.
deal. But I mean, it's just for me personally, like it's so important. You see the world through different eyes. You see everything with a certain level of sensitivity that you want to protect your kids at all costs. You don't want to let them go down certain paths, literally and figuratively. And I mean, I question myself sometimes. Am I being too strict? Do I need to lay off? Do I need to? Are these issues common for dads? And like, it's something I'm always kind of questioning myself with my own parenting. And I imagine it's something that you do as well. But I mean, I seek your guidance as someone who has children who are older than mine.
Right. Yeah. So I'm like kind of all over the spectrum. My youngest is, I guess he's 9. Come May, he's 9. So oldest being at 30 and then working down to 9. But what I tell people is you're going to get it wrong because we all get it wrong. But if you show your children love, that's all that matters in the end. That's really what they remember. They don't remember necessarily like the disciplines or the just the attaboys. What they really remember is the way that you love them. And if they felt loved, every discipline that you give is well received because they understand where it's coming from. It's coming from love. If they don't feel loved, you can take them around the world and they still feel that they mean nothing to you because you're not, giving them yourself. You're not giving them your love. So as long as you give them love, realize you're going to get it wrong, and that's why they have therapists, and they're going to help them through that. But at the end of the day, if they felt loved, they can get through it.
I feel like, so like last night, there were just, I kind of have like a five warning sort of deal. Like, I'm going to say something 5 times calmly. I'm going to ask you to do something calmly. And this is my son we're talking about, who turned 6 in April. So like, he's at the age where you should be able to at least listen somewhat well. My 3-year-old daughter, 3-year-old toddler, you're going to give some more passes to. But my son, there's an expectation when you're in kindergarten at the very least that it shouldn't take 6 times to tell you something. And on that, after 5 times, you're still messing around. What's the saying? You mess around, you find out. It's a little dirtier than that.
Right.
But that's, I mean, listen, if after 5 times, if you're still, around, I raise my voice, and I shouldn't raise my voice. And I know when I raise my voice, it's not what I want to do. I think it's just a natural reaction in parenting. Obviously, you never lay hands or anything like that. But I mean, just Joey, and it's just like this, and you hate, like I as soon as it comes out of my mouth, like, I hate myself. I want to just, it's like halfway there, and I just want to pull it back. But it's too late. And what you try to do, at least what I try to do, is just as soon as I say I'm sorry, like as soon as it's out of my mouth and as soon as it's halfway there, I'm already saying I'm sorry, and I'm going over to give a hug. And that is, I mean, that's parenting. Like, in a nutshell, that is the essence of parenting. It's the frustration, the anger, and the love, all encompassing in a span of about 3 seconds. And it's brutal. It is difficult, it's beautiful and loving, all wrapped in one massive enigma that is impossible to figure out.
It is. I'd say, Matt, you're a softie. I remember.
I am.
You know,
I own it. I own it. Absolutely.
Back in the days, man, you used to give them 5 warnings. I remember there were like 3 warnings, and then sometimes you don't even get the 3. It's just like an instant, you know. But gratefully, times have changed, and we can be a little bit more evolved here with our children, and just like you're doing there, when if you lose your temper, you basically let them know, hey, I lost my temper. This is not necessarily how I want to treat you, which in turn teaches him this is not how you want to treat other people.
I want to kind of circle back before we wrap up and segueing from parenting youth and what it takes to keep our kids in the city as they get older. And we've seen, you know, there's a lot of unique things to do and fun things to do in the city and around the city. How do we keep them here?
Yeah, that's the question. One issue that we've had since I've come up and even today, we were a great farm system for New York City, DC, Baltimore, or whatever. Our
baseball team is literally a farm system for Washington, right?
Absolutely. And we were doing that with a lot of our best and brightest. You know, we raise wonderful children in this area. They get somewhere and they say the first thing they want to do is leave Harrisburg. We want to bring them back. We want to make them stay here. Well, I do like what we've moved in the idea of opening up the Harrisburg University. Universities have a way of bringing people in and keeping them. We want to provide more opportunities for our youth, whether it's additional educational opportunities or whether it's employment opportunities. You know, what can we do to bring people in? Right now, we were just saying about Neil needing an attorney on staff. We need to bring more of those attorneys back in.
Neil Grover, city solicitor, one of the hardest working men imaginable. Please, if you are a lawyer, you have a background in law, apply with the city of Harrisburg. Give Neil some help.
Absolutely. So we want to make sure that Harrisburg remains a place that people will feel drawn to. So we have to give more opportunities to our youth, whether that's in education, employment opportunities, and entertainment opportunities. And speaking of the Harrisburg University, they've been doing a great thing with these concerts that have been bringing in great acts to the city. We see
downtown is happening during the summertime. It's great.
Absolutely. Midtown Arts?
Harrisburg Midtown Arts Center,
Harrisburg Midtown Arts Center. Yep, they've been doing a great thing with bringing in some great musical talent.
We're trying to get them all to come in here for the studio sessions on Channel 20 that I was telling you about. So
that would be great.
Yeah, exactly. Have them do like little unplugged versions of their sets. So
that's good. And then I look around and I just see a lot of young people that have great talents, and you know, we just need to nurture that and just let them know again that they have a home here in Harrisburg, and we want to see them stay here for life. What happens in the city, the crazy thing is, many people move to our city from other areas, and they stay because they love the people that they meet here. I want us to keep our own homegrown talent here too. You know, let's figure out a way to keep our kids invested and just calling Harrisburg home.
We could easily go for another 30 minutes, but that's a great place to wrap up right now. Rob, thank you so much for your time.
Hey, thanks a lot, Matt. It was truly an honor.
Harrisburg's newest city councilman, Rob Lawson, joining us on What's the Word Harrisburg, and that is the word Harrisburg. That's where we're going to wrap up right now. Hope you all have a great day.